comments. Look, let me tell you about this story. This is really interesting. Ford has agreed, the company, motor company Ford, has agreed to cover the full cost of faulty engines following an investigation by the BBC's Inside Out programme. Now, this all relates to Ford's 1-litre EcoBoost engine, as many owners say their cars have suffered total engine failure and they've had to pay £1,000 for repairs, even though the vehicles were relatively new. Now Ford is saying it'll cover all costs and consider older cases. They say with any future cases subject to being assessed and linked to potential 1-litre engine overheating, we will contribute 100% of the cost of repair at a Ford dealer. Furthermore, we will re-examine previous cases to ensure that this policy of a 100% contribution to the repair cost is applied consistently. Seems very generous. I'm joined now by Louisa Reardon from Dunstable, whose EcoBoost engine failed. Louise then went on to set up the Ford EcoBoost Nightmare group on Facebook, and it has 1,300 members. She's also a panellist on the programme as well. So, Louise, what happened to you?
Yeah, hi Roberto. My car blew up in June 2013 whilst we're in the fourth lane of the motorway, going 70 miles an hour. Very scary experience. And the fight started with Ford. It was a Focus 1-litre EcoBoost.
Right.
That car had actually been recalled for the degas hose to be changed, which has been talked about a lot today. So Andy Barrett this morning said on BBC Breakfast that this issue only affects cars that didn't have the degas hose changed in 2015.
How old was your car, or wasn't it very old?
At the time, it was a 62 plate, so it was about a year and a half. No, it might have been a bit older than that.
Okay. What sort of mileage had it done, just to give us a perspective on this?
Yeah, it was young in the sense of the mileage. It only had 31,000 miles on the clock.
Quite new.
Yeah.
Had it been serviced by Ford up to then?
Yes, it had been serviced by Ford. Again, something else they've said, that if it isn't serviced by them, then they can't catch it. But ours was serviced by them, and they didn't catch the...
So you were doing all the things in the right order. Ford, the car was nice, it drove nice, all serviced by Ford, book was stamped. However, you then had this unexpected problem on the motorway.
Yes.
Quite scary when the engine just doesn't or just stops.
Yes.
Which you managed to make it to safety. What happened after that?
So after that, I had a fight with Ford for 11 weeks, and they tried to tell me that there was no issue with these cars, despite the fact I'd shown them evidence that there had been previous cases to ours. They didn't want to take any responsibility. They didn't want to pay anything towards the cost of the brand new engine that it needed, which was thousands of pounds. And I wasn't willing to take that because I knew it wasn't our fault. It couldn't possibly be our fault. We'd done everything right, by the book. So
at what point, because in this sort of story, if you think it's happened to you, just a one-off, you might have a different view. But you thought it was a bigger problem. What led you to believe that?
Because I had found, so ours happened in June 2016, and I found a story from 2014, a guy whose car had blown up at 31,000 miles. He got the engine replaced, and it happened again at 62,000 miles. So, just that one case, it had happened twice with two different engines and the same car. So, I knew, my gut feeling was this is not a coincidence. And I started to research more online, found more cases, started the group Ford EcoBoost Nightmare, and started to gather more victims that were having it happen to them at the same time as me.
All the same problem?
All the same problem.
At round about the same sort of mileage?
Different mileages. Some of them have only got 10,000 miles on the clock. Some have got 60,000. I mean, the mileages vary. There doesn't seem to be a pattern when it comes to mileage. The pattern is, well, if it's an EcoBoost...
It was the same engine, and it was just like this particular hose, it would seem, which may have been some sort of fault from the manufacturer or something.
Well, no. I mean, Ford are trying to say it's the hose, but like I said, our hose had been changed the previous year, and the car still failed, and it wasn't down to the hose. So the hose can be the issue. It can be what looks like the cause, but essentially the car overheats because it can't get enough coolant, whether it's the expansion tank that's failed or one of the water pumps has failed. The car runs too hot, and a lot of the components seem to fail.
You must be rather pleased that they've now had a complete change of heart, because car companies historically are notoriously difficult to deal with, because sometimes when they manufacture cars, something isn't quite right, but they'll always say, it ain't us, Gov. And this is around the world, all car companies do this, until eventually some of them are forced to make a change. And today Ford have made a really big change.
Well, I should be excited, shouldn't I? But
yes, you should, but why not?
When I heard the news last week, obviously I was sworn to secrecy, when I heard about the announcement, I was a bit excited. But today, as it's unfolded, and I've heard Andy Barrett, the Managing Director of Ford UK, on various interviews, and what he's describing is something that doesn't affect most of us. So he's stating that this refund will be based on certain criteria. One, he's saying that it's only the cars that didn't have the degas hose change during the 2015 campaign, which is a tiny percentage of the people on the group. He's saying it only affects the Focus. Well, we have a broad mixture of models.
Well, the EcoBoost engine is used in different cars, different models.
Exactly. So it doesn't only affect the Focus, this problem. It affects all of the cars in the EcoBoost range, seemingly between a certain year. So it seems to be between the start of production and around about 2011.
So you don't think this is over by any shot?
No, goodness, no, it's not. I mean, as it's unfolded today, even people have gone to Ford and said, well, can I have my refund? And they've said, well, sorry, you've had your degas hose changed, so it doesn't apply to you. So already, less than 12 hours after the release.
Your Facebook group, Ford EcoBoost Nightmares, about 1,300 members. How widespread do you think this is? Because not everyone's going to be on Facebook with the problem with this particular engine.
Well, actually, we've got 3,500 members and 1,300 engine failures. So that's with the, they're confirmed. They've got the registration number, etc. Right. They're checked, so they're genuine. Today, I've been inundated with failures, historical and current. We are the tip of engine. We are the tip of the iceberg on that page. I believe that we are probably about 10% of the real amount. I'm getting over 100 failures a month at the moment since this has gone into, circulation on the media in the summer.
Ford said they'll cover costs and consider older cases. It sounds great, but you say there are exceptions, so this could go on a lot further. What is it you want?
I really think the cars are not safe. Ford know that. They know I think that. I think they should do a recall. They should definitely apologise to customers. They should definitely compensate them. Some people have really suffered throughout the weeks and weeks they've spent without a vehicle. A lot of them don't get a courtesy car while their Ford EcoBoost is stuck inside the workshop. So they need to do a whole lot more to make those customers feel valued.
And many people listening right now might think, absolutely right, you're a consumer, you haven't had what you purchased, and if they were aware of it, then the responsibility is theirs. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, Ford are still a massive company. If they start recalling this one particular engine all over the world, they're going to have a few problems, some big problems.
Yeah, it's going to be very expensive for them, but it's the right thing to do.
Louise, thank you. The full report into this issue you can watch Inside Out on BBC One at 7:30 tonight. Thank you, Louise.
Thank you.
Louisa Redden from Dunstable, whose EcoBoost engine failed. I didn't realise there was such a big problem with that particular engine. Thank you, Louise. Right, let's come back. And by the way, car companies historically and globally have always been very reticent to recall anything and admit when things are... Because in manufacturing, most cars, most vehicles are tested, they're tried, and they're just brilliant. But there are occasionally you come across a model which has fallen through the gap. Not all vehicles the manufacturer are brilliant. Ken's in Luton. Ken, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Roberto.
Welcome, sir. What do you want to tell me?
Well, I'm going to vote Conservative.
So you're another Conservative, right?